What is up, guys? Rick Kackis here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we are going to be having a really interesting discussion because we're going to be talking about what is wrong, or at least what huge amounts of the player base, and importantly, what Bungie thinks is wrong about PvP in Destiny 2. Now, why is it important to talk about this? Well, during the Shadowkeep reveal, Bungie said that they are overhauling PvP from the ground up. Those are fighting words. Those do not indicate a small update or some minor balancing. That indicates some big changes. But here's the thing. They didn't say what they're doing. They just said, yeah, we're overhauling PvP from the ground up. See you in September. Right? So what the heck are they going to overhaul? What are the problems the community has identified with PvP that needs overhauling? What are some of the changes coming with Shadowkeep that we can expect? That's what we're going to talk about, so let's get started. Now, first and foremost, one of the things that we kind of do actually know is coming with Shadowkeep is some substantial rebalancing to the supers within D2. Now, what do I mean by that? Because rebalancing could cover a lot of different things. Well, generally, it's viewed by most people that supers in D2 right now are a little too powerful. They have the potential to swing games completely, and it feels pretty hopeless when someone pops a super against you. Now, something again that we know Bungie is changing, at least with supers, is lowering the amount of health supers have, so that you can actually counter supers. If someone pops a Dawnblade, for example, and they're not playing intelligently, they're not playing carefully, they will, with Shadowkeep, be more readily gunned down by you with a good angle than they are right now, where they can just tank a bunch of shots. Perhaps even we can get to the point with Shadowkeep where supers are capable to be one-shot headshot, at least maybe with the most powerful sniper rifle archetype, or even shotgun melee'd to death as well, which is something that is impossible unless you have the 1-2 punch perk. So that is going to quite substantially change the way PvP plays. Right now, if you're in the Crucible and someone pops their super, most people's response is to run away instead of to challenge. Actually making them killable will completely change how people react to a super being popped, and I think personally it is for the better. Now, there are some people who would argue that, hey, aren't supers supposed to be powerful? And while yes, that's correct, they shouldn't be unbeatable, uncounterable. And in Destiny 1, Destiny 2 supers are hilariously better than Destiny 1 supers. Think of the Titan Slam. You had one slam and you were easier to kill in Destiny 1. Now it's roaming, it's disgusting, especially if you're on bottom tree. You can definitely make them more counterable and still have them feel quite powerful. So that's something we know is coming. But I don't know about you guys, but making supers easier to kill wouldn't really qualify as a complete overhaul from the ground up. So there's got to be more changes than just that. Now, interestingly, kind of a hot topic right now that I've seen brought up by a lot of PvP personalities on Twitter and stuff is the issue of team balancing. A lot of people feel like the team balancing in Destiny 2 leaves a lot to be desired. And it does, but that's true of any first-person shooter. Whether you're playing Destiny or Call of Duty or Battlefield or whatever, all those games try to accomplish the same thing, to put the average level of skill on each team pretty much equal to have a fair game. The problem is that if you are a super good player and your stats are out of this world, it'll put 5 absolute potatoes on your team and then put all 6 average players on the enemy team. Well, if you're playing any sort of objective game, which a lot of Destiny game modes are, that's not gonna fly. You can't carry 5 potatoes and you are gonna be demolished by just 6 average players. So potentially Destiny needs to look a little bit more into that, especially with the influx of so many new players with Destiny 2 New Light. Potentially evening out the potatoes is better than evening out, the good players in some aspects. But again, although there's a lot of discussion about that right now, it doesn't necessarily feel like something that would be included with this PvP overhaul. So, let's take a look at some of the most requested things about PvP since Destiny 2 launched, because interestingly, Destiny 2 launched with such a different PvP, it didn't work out, people hated it, and so it was already overhauled from the ground up in Forsaken. Like, that's why this is so interesting. We already had that happen. Weapons were completely rebalanced. Now you can have primary, special, heavy instead of primary, heavy, and supers got so much more powerful, abilities generated so much faster. We already had a complete overhaul. So we're now overhauling the complete overhaul. So we've got to look at some of the stuff that didn't happen with that Forsaken overhaul, and some of those things include, number one, a proper ranking system for PvP. Not just upping your valor, actually having a rank beside your name that goes up and down depending on your wins. And competitive kind of has that, but I think people would want different ranks based on different game modes. That's been asked for such a long time. I want a Rumble rank. I want a Mayhem rank. I want a Quick Play rank. And so Bungie could be implementing finally a proper ranking system. For those of you who were, back in the OG days, Halo had that kind of a ranking system. And so we could finally be seeing something like that implemented into the game, and that would actually go well with another very requested thing since the start of Destiny 2, and that is the proper ability to choose your own game modes again. Right now, it's kind of just quick play, competitive, and then some stuff that rotates out. Now, that's certainly not the worst, but I think a lot of people out there, if they want to play a certain style of game mode, they want it to be available pretty much all the time. Potentially, with Shadowkeep, we're going to see an overhaul to the PvP menu, giving you more options than normal, and all those options, again, having their own ranking system, potentially having unique rewards, like unique rewards to Rumble, unique rewards to Mayhem, and that would certainly spice up PvP and pretty drastically increase people's desire to play PvP if you can grind a certain game mode for certain weapons and rewards. But moving on from there, there's one big change that would absolutely count as a PvP overhaul that I think it is likely for Bungie to make, and that is a global time to kill adjustment. Now, they kind of did this before around Forsaken, but remember, when Destiny 2 launched, the overall time to kill for all of the primaries in the game was lowered. Hand cannons were 4-shot kills instead of 3. Auto rifles, scout rifles, pretty much everything just had 1, potentially 2 more shots to kill than it did in Destiny 1. Now, here's the problem with that, and this is something that I personally have thought for a very long time. Even though the global time to kill somewhat increased around Forsaken, you've still had a lot of weapons. Scout rifles are definitely one of them. They still have around 1 second time to kills. But when you have 1 second, 0.8 second time to kills with primaries, and then you combine that with literally instantaneous time to kills with shotguns, sniper rifles, sometimes fusion rifles if you pre-charge, stuff like that, you get into some problems. That's why we have shotgun apes, what's referred to as that, in the game, because it's actually more efficient for your time to kill than to just whip out your shotgun and run at someone while they are shooting you and then just plugging them with your shotgun, because you'll get to them and shoot them with your instant kill shotgun before they can gun you down. Notice, in a game like Call of Duty, shotgun apes do not exist. If you just run at someone with a shotgun, you will be gunned down. You have to play a little bit more intelligently with a shotgun. Flank constantly, have map awareness, wait for people to come around corners and then plug them. Play only in areas that fit to your close range engagements. Now, I am not saying that Destiny should lower its time to kill to Call of Duty whatsoever. But when you do have these extremely long time to kill primaries and then instantaneous time to kill specials and heavies, it does lead to some problems. So what Bungie could be doing to PvP in Shadowkeep is moving the time to kill closer to what it was in Destiny 1 for primaries. And the thing is, if we do see something like that, that will just shake up the meta unbelievably. Like, suddenly you have all these guns rushing into the meta because they've become one shot less to kill. You have gun archetypes and gun types that previously saw no play suddenly rush into the top tier of the game. That would be an undeniable overhaul from the ground up, which is what Bungie claim they're doing. So, based on community feedback and the continued course correction from Destiny 2 launch, I'd say when Bungie talks about overhauling PvP, the likely things we are to see is number 1, rebalancing supers, and that's something we know is for sure happening. Number 2, adding so much more option and ranks to a lot of the playlists within the game, and potentially more and diversified rewards as well. And number 3, a global change to the time to kill, or at least a substantial rebalancing of the current meta, especially involving primaries. But what do you guys think? When you hear PvP overhaul, what changes do you want to see? What changes do you think that encompasses? Let me know in the comment section. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, enjoyed this discussion. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at @RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.